the living entity transacts his objective actions. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The false ego of materialistic identity is controlled by demigod Rudra, an incarnation of Lord Shiva. Rudra is the incarnation of Supreme Lord who controls the mode of ignorance within material nature. The activities of false ego are based on the objective of body and mind. Most persons conducted by false ego are controlled by Lord Shiva. When one reaches a finer version of ignorance, he falsely thinks himself as Supreme Lord. The egoistic conviction of the conditioned soul is the last snare of the illusory energy which controls the entire material world. Hare Krishna. So I'm going to read the verse number 26 and 27 also, because that's a part of this today's discussion. Sattvam chasya vinirbinnam mahan dishnayam upavishat chittenam shena yenasau vijnanam pratipadyate. Synonyms: Sattvam, consciousness; Cha, also; Asya, of the gigantic form; Vinibhinnam, being separately manifested; Mahan, the total energy; Mahatattva; Dishnayam, with control; Upavishat, entered into; Chittena Amshena, along with his part of consciousness; Yena, by which; Asau, the living entity; Vijnanam, specific knowledge; Patipadyate, cultivates. Translation: Thereafter, when his consciousness separately manifested itself, the total energy, Mahatattva, entered with its conscious part. Thus, the living entity is able to conceive specific knowledge. The next one. Sishnosya dayurdhara padbhayam kham nabher udpadyatah gunanam vartayo yeshu pratiyante suradaya. Synonyms: Sishana, head; Asya, of the gigantic form; Dhyayo, the heavenly planets; Dhara, earthly planets; Padabhyam, on his legs; Kham, the sky; Nabhe, from the abdomen; Udapdyatah, became manifested; Gunanam, of the three modes of nature; Vrataya, reactions; Yeshahu, in which; Pratyantehe, manifest; Suradya, the demigods and others. Translation: Thereafter, from the head of the gigantic form, heavenly planets were manifested, and from his leg, the earthly planets, and from his abdomen, the sky, separately manifested themselves. Within them, the demigods and others also were manifested in terms of the modes of material nature. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshulmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanamitam Tam Sajim Shadavaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha. नमा ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नीति नामने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम पदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गुरुतश्रम पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्त रूप स्वरूपम भक्तवतारम भक्तकम नमामि भक्त शक्तिकम वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपीकांत राधा कांत से तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिय वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु पावने वैष्णव नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् श्रवणतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तन हृदयं तेस्तु भद्राणि विद्यनोति स्वरसं नष्टप्रायश बद्धेषु नित्यं भागवते भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति निष्ठ हरे कृष्ण। आत्मानं चास्य निर्भिन्नम् अभिमानो विशत्पदम् कर्मणां क्षेन येनासौ कर्तव्यं प्रतिपद्यते. Thereafter, the materialistic ego of gigantic form separately manifested itself, and into it entered Rudra, the controller of false ego, with his own partial activities by which the living entity transacts his objective actions. Hare Krishna. So right now we are discussing this chapter, chapter third, and this is uh, the chapter third is actually divided into various sections. Sorry, canto third is divided into various sections. So this is a chapter number 6, where we are discussing about the creation of the universal form of the Lord. So just to recap, because if somebody is joining first time today and if they don't know the context, so this is, we are discussing about the creation of the universal form of the Lord at the time when Lord Garbhodakshay Vishnu, from there, how the creation started. So in the beginning of this chapter, Maitreya Muni told Vidura that Lord noticed, hmm, like because when these 23 elements were created, which is in the previous chapter we discussed. So when those 23 elements were created, but they were not really active. So initially, when those 23 elements created from Lord Mahavishnu, they were not active, but they are in suspended form, and they could not perform their functions. So Lord then actually applied his external energy called Kali, eh, so that these 23 elements are start working. They got awakened to the different activities. eh. So then, in order to create this universe, Lord entered as a Virat Purusha. The Virat Purusha is basically is nothing but the universal body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hmm. So these total 23 elements are basically transformed to gigantic form. And then this Virat Purusha, which is basically, you see, like in our material world, we have in one universe, we have probably like around 14 planetary systems. We are on the middle planetary system, which is basically Earth planet, or what we call a Bhumandala. This Bhumandala is basically like the part of where we are. So in Bhumandala, there are 7 islands and there are 6 oceans, and which is like the surrounding our Dvipa. There are 7 Dvipas actually. So we are on Jambu Dvipa. We are on Jambu Dvipa. On Jambu Dvipa, there are 9 Varshas, and we are here on this Bharat Varsha, which is basically previously Bharat Varsha's name was Ajanab Varsha, which is basically on the name of Rishabhadev and Nabi Maharaj. But later, there's Rishabhdev's son Bharat Maharaj. When he became the king, this area is called Bharat Varsha. So if you see in today's time, this Bharat, our country Bharat is basically is part of this Bharat Varsha. Bharat Varsha is basically the whole section of this Bhumandala, and there we have this Bharat Khanda, and in Bharat Khanda, which is the Earth planet, and then there is a place called country called Bharat. So there, Lord Krishna performed, Lord Ram performed various pastimes. So it's a very big creation. So in that, the Bhumandala is in the middle of the whole universe. If you go above Bhumandala, there is Antriksh, there is outer space where different planets are there, where these higher living entities are living. And then above Antriksha or outer space, there is a Swargaloka, or what we call the heavenly planets. They are all the demigods like Indra, Varuna, Chandra. They all have their own abode there. So what we call like heaven is like people go there, and there are thousands of planets are there in that Swargaloka, and they are all basically encircling around this Sumeru mountain. In the center of the universe, there is Sumeru mountain, and this whole Bhumandala is basically in the center, and then above is Antariksh Loka, then above is Swargaloka. And then above Swargaloka, there are planets which are specifically allocated for sages and tapasvis, like sages and people who are doing austerity, yogis and all. They are called Janaloka, Mahaloka, Tapaloka, and the top of that is actually the top is Brahmaloka, or what we call the Satyaloka, where Lord Brahma resides. And then below we have below Bhumandala is like Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Satal, Patal. There are 7 planetary systems down below the earth. So this form, this 14 planetary system is nothing but the gigantic form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Virata Purusha. Virata Purusha. So this Virata Purusha actually is nothing but the transcendent, is the gigantic form of the Lord. And before the creation, this Virat Purusha, this total 40 planetary system were appeared, and then that Virat Purusha lived for 1,000 years on water, which is basically like this Garbhodaka ocean. Because when Garbhodaksha Vishnu entered, the whole universe was filled with the water, and then this Virat Purusha was there. So then after that, then this 1,000 year were passed, and then Lord were basically lying down on the Garbhodaka ocean, and then Lord Brahma appears. Right? Lord Brahma appears, and then we see the consciousness, like self-consciousness, life air. There are 10 types of life air, 10 types of air. In one of them is life air, and 3 modes of self-identification develop from Mahatattva. So this is the beginning of creation. You might have we have already discussed in our classes. And then slowly we see from the verse number 11, the different demigods appear with the different functions of the universe. Like in verse number 12, it's mentioned that Agni appeared, which is coming from the Virat Rupa's mouth, and so that we can talk, and to accept the offerings, right? And then we have this demigod Varuna, which is the palate, and so that the taste can develop on the tongue. So the taste that we actually experience is because the demigod Varuna is actually controlling our tongue, so that whenever we eat or whenever we put any salt or sugar or whatever taste, there's 6 type of tastes are available, and those are basically controlled by Varuna. Then Ashwini Kumar, they are basically controlling our 2 nostrils, so that we can smell the aromas, good or bad. Those type of aromas can be sun. And then sun, Suryadev controlling our eyes, so which can given power. See, our eyes are capable of seeing the things, but we cannot see without there is no light. When the light is on the object, that light get reflected, and then we can see the object in our brain. So in reality, the eyes are controlled by the demigod Suryadev. And then Anila means this water, so which is basically our skin and gives us the tactile knowledge. And then we have controlling deities of directions, what is called Abhimani Devatas from the different directions. And then we have the controlling deities of sensation on the skin. We have sensation like feeling itching or happiness due to the touch. That is also basically controlled by the controlling deity of sensation. Then Prajapati, which gives us power to create progeny, right? So that we can create offsprings. That's basically coming from the Prajapati, and Prajapatis are controlling that power. Then we have Mitra, which is basically a demigod who is controlling our evacuation channel. Right? The body, our body actually evacuates like the waste products, and that's controlled by Mitra, which is demigod. And then Indra is controlling our hands. Like our hands, they are giving because hands are basically the main function for all our transactions. So for our livelihood, hands are very, very important. And then Lord Indra, who is the principal demigod, he actually controls the hands. And then legs. There is a demigod which is like controlling the legs, which moves to the destination, like where we move from here, one place to another place. Then Brahma. Brahma is basically controlling the intelligence. Brahma's daughter is Saraswati, Vak. So, yesterday we celebrated Vasant Panchami, right? So I think most of the people celebrate Saraswati Puja, right? Especially in Bengal and Bihar, like in those area, there is a big celebration of the Saraswati Puja festival, which is happens on the day of Vasant Panchami, because this Saraswati Devi is controlling deity of our intelligence. Whatever we basically speak, whatever we talk, is basically coming from the intelligence, and then she's a daughter of Brahma. So expressing our power of understanding, knowledge, right? So I think on that day, many people actually perform first, going to first writing ceremony, something like that. I don't remember, but somebody might know that how to do that. But they actually celebrate, because this intelligence what we get is basically from the Saraswati, because that's why is a deity of knowledge. So that's why even before we recite Srimad Bhagavatam, we offer prayer to Saraswati Devi. So because of that, Naranam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. So we offer that, and then later from the heart, our heart is controlled by moon god. So control our mental activities. Our minds contemplate on so many things. Mananam activities can actually controlled by the demigod Chandra. And then today's verse is basically the last one, our ego, what is called materialistic ego, that who am I? When we consider that, oh, I am this material body. So this is the today's verse here. We are basically we are coming here, the last part of this body. The last part is this materialistic ego, and that is actually controlled by Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva takes incarnation in the form of Rudra avatar. Lord Shiva takes 11 Rudra avatars. One of them is basically actually entered into this universe, and he controls this false ego. And this is very, very important, because with that, all the living entity perform their own respective functions. See, if somebody is a father, and a father take care of the family, he take care of the children, okay, to earn money, to take care of school, take care of their facilities, and buying the house, buying the groceries, and all those kind of things are done by father. When father identify himself with this material body, and he relates with his children, okay, they are my kids, she's my wife, this is my father, this is my mother, like that. So this kind of understanding is actually false ego, because a living entity, when he consider himself as a body, then he perform all these functions. So if you see here, this verse says, thereafter the materialistic ego of gigantic form separately manifested itself, and into it entered Rudra, the controller of false ego, with his own partial activities, by which living entity transacts his objective action. The whole transaction that we perform in the common living entity, I'm talking about 99.99% living entity, they perform work on bodily platform. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that we are not the body, but we are the eternal living soul. But we hardly realize that we are soul. Most of the time we work on the bodily platform, isn't it? The whole world is running on this notion that we are the body. We are not the soul, right? We think that we are the body. Because of body, we have relationships. We have the relationships like mother, father, husband, wife, son, daughter. Then we have relationship with our community, our township, our city, our state, our country, and we are human race, like that. So if you see, all these identities are there because of the presence of the body, which is basically gives, which is coming. This false ego is coming on us, like saying that, well, we are the body. This false ego makes us convinced that we are the body. So this Lord Rudra is a controller of the mode of ignorance. Mode of ignorance. And with that, this materialistic ego gives us this platform where a living entity performs bodily activities. As I said, the bodily activities, considering like family as their own. See, normally what happens is a person think that, oh, this child is mine. So he works for that. He works whole day, whole night to get the money so that he can take care of the child. But he will take care of the child whom he think that he's mine only. So because he's seeing that relationship on the bodily platform, a child born out of his body, he considers himself as my child. But people who are, or the other child, or the other people who are not related to his body, they are different. He doesn't take care of them. So a person take care of the family only based on the bodily relationships. He take care of the wife, he take care of the children, he take care of the like family member, like mother, father, brother, sister, like uncle, auntie, whoever is there, because they are the relatives. Their relative means they are related to his body. And that kind of consciousness that I am this body is this basically coming from this materialistic ego. And then Lord Shiva controls that. Lord Shiva controls this activity. So here, let's see, Prabhupada says the false ego of materialistic identity is controlled by demigod Rudra. Rudra is basically, as I said, Rudra is Lord Shiva's incarnation, an incarnation of Lord Shiva. The total 11 Rudra avatars are there. So if you see, like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. So, and because Lord Shiva is a prime, the first one, and then he incarnates in the different Rudra forms. Right? And Rudra is the incarnation of Supreme Lord, which controls the mode of ignorance within this material nature. So this this Rudra or Lord Shiva's form controls the mode of material nature, like mode of ignorance, right? So we have mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. So mode of goodness controlled by Lord Vishnu, mode of passion controlled by Lord Brahma, and mode of ignorance controlled by Lord Shiva. So these three prime deities controls the activities performed by this. So if you see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that these three modes are spread everywhere in the universe. There's Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. Mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance is spread everywhere. So when a living entity if is in a mode of goodness, is controlled by Lord Vishnu. When the living entity is in mode of passion, is controlled by Lord Brahma. When living entity is mode of ignorance, is controlled by Lord Shiva. So now, if you just think about that, you see there are 8,400,000 species of life. 8,400,000 species of life. Out of that, hardly 400,000 is human beings, right? All other are like plants, insects, there's aquatics, animals, these are things, right? So you can think that all these living entities, they are in mode of ignorance. They are in mode of ignorance. So primarily they were controlled by Lord Shiva. And then even in human form of life, 400,000, 400,000, the human forms, even the human forms, there are many forms of human life also controlled by, but are under the control of ignorance. So if you see, that's why here it says that this Lord Shiva actually controls major portion of the living entities in this material world. When a living entity comes in the mode of goodness, then Lord Vishnu basically takes charge of that. When living entity comes in mode of passion, then Lord Brahma takes charge. But when they are in mode of ignorance, Lord Rudra takes. Like, so you see, there are bhutas, pishachas, and these are all controlled by Lord Shiva. He's a deity. He's the deity who's controlling this mode of ignorance. So here, Prabhupada says that the activity of false ego are based on objective of body and mind. Our mind, we think that we are the body, and because of that, we work. All this, if you see in the material world, the major transaction, all the transactions are happening based on body. and that's controlled by Lord Shiva. That's why you see this material world is nothing but is the external energy of the Lord, and external energy is basically Durga Devi, who is the or Mother Parvati, who is the energy of Lord Shiva. So this material world is primarily in that control, because people, if as long as they are in mode of ignorance, that is controlled by Lord Shiva. So here Prabhupada says that most person, that's why I say most person, this very, Prabhupada just say two words, but actually if you see, you expand this, is actually what Prabhupada say, that most of the people are controlled by Lord Shiva. As long as we are in the mode of ignorance, Lord Shiva will take care of us. But that's why, we have to, if we want to worship Lord Vishnu, or if we want to go back to home, back to Godhead, we have to elevate ourselves from the mode of ignorance to mode of passion, and further into mode of goodness. When we come to mode of goodness, Lord Vishnu takes charge of us, and then we basically able to go to back to Godhead. If people in mode of ignorance, they will remain in the material world, and Lord Shiva, Mother Parvati take care of that people. So that's why Prabhupada used this word, most persons. As I explained you, total out of 8,400,000 pieces of life, hardly 400,000 is human life. And out of human life, how many people are really working in mode of goodness? In today's world, especially like in this in 2025, which is Kali Yuga, and then we are already gone 4,000-5,000 years here. So here, primarily people are in mode of ignorance. Primarily. Hardly any, very few people are in mode of passion, and because people who are really aggressively working, like in a city area and all, they are in mode of passion, and hardly any people is in mode of goodness. So that's why Prabhupada write this, most persons conducted by false ego are controlled by Lord Shiva. So, but devotees, we are transcendent. The devotees, when we start worshipping Lord Krishna, so we transcend three modes of material nature. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, once we basically start performing Hare Krishna chanting, and we perform bhakti, we transcend three modes of material nature. So we are under direct control of Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna. But as long as we are not, as long as we are under the control of three modes of material nature, we are controlled by different deities, and especially the people who are in mode of ignorance, they are controlled by the Lord Shiva. That's why all these animals, all these plants, and all these living entities who are bhuta, pishachas, all this, they are all controlled by Lord Shiva. All the serpents, everybody. So they are mostly primarily controlled by Lord Shiva, and he actually makes people work in the material world. He gives a power for the people to work. So that's why sometimes you might have heard that people saying that Lord Shiva is the basically the controlling this material world. You might have heard that sometime. This is because the reason is that because people are in mode of ignorance. If everybody become in mode of goodness, then they will be controlled by Lord Vishnu. And then if they are mode of passion, they are controlled by Lord Brahma. So that's why Prabhupada writes this, most persons are conducted by the false ego. And when, here Prabhupada further says that, when one reaches a finer version of ignorance, this is a very important point, Prabhupada, finer version means when you become exclusively in the mode of ignorance, you think yourself that you are the Supreme Person of God. Here Prabhupada actually talks about people, Mayavadis, who want to become one with the Lord. They say that, oh, who you are, who am I? They say, oh, you are that same person. Who are that same person? Means what? You are the Lord. They say that. This kind of mentality, this kind of consciousness, when one develops, then it means he is in the very deep side of mode of ignorance. He start identifying himself with the Lord. That is the finer version of that ignorance here. Prabhupada says that. So people say, well, who are you? They say you are the Lord. they will identify as Soham. You might have heard this word Soham. Soham is generally used by the people who think that, oh, I am that Lord. I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the same Lord. You are Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. So Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. They talk like this. Especially these Mayavadi people. They say, well, who are you? They think that you are the same person. You are the same Lord. So this kind of ignorance is the finer version of that. Is actually makes oneself convinced that he is the Supreme Lord, and that is the lowest form in the material world here. Prabhupada says that. So then when one reaches this kind of ignorance, this is like especially the Mayavadi people, Mayavadi Krishna Pradi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu warns us. That's why we should not hear about Mayavadi commentaries, because they will makes us Like think about that you are the Lord, and that is actually the biggest problem, that you become go in very detail in the mode of ignorance. So that's why Prabhupada said this, that egoistic conviction of conditioned soul, that egoistic conviction that, oh, you are the Supreme Lord, this is the last snare of illusion energy. Means if you come into this, then you are completely trapped by material energy. There is no way you can come out from there. And this is why this whole world is basically running in this material. The people are working in the material world very, very, very strongly, and they are not coming out from. You ask people that, why don't you leave this world and come to the spiritual world? The people don't want. I remember like one time it's mentioned that Srila Prabhupada, he was before coming to US, he wrote a book called Easy Journey to Other Planet. And in Jhansi in India, he was actually distributing this book. So he gave that book to one person, one Indian fellow. He gave it to that, and he said that, well, when he read the title, "Easy Journey to Other Planets," and he asked like, well, can we really go to other planets? Purpa said, yeah, why not? You can actually perform different yogas, and then you can transform into different planets, and even you can go to Vaikuntha planet. So, but then that person said, well, but is there a way that I can come back from there also? And Prabhupada asked, like, why you want to come back? When you go to those higher planets, good planets, like you go to Vaikuntha planets, why you want to come back? Then he said, well, actually I belong to this place, so I need to come back. So point is that people are identifying ourselves with this material world so tightly. We think that we are part of this world and we are going to forever like this. We think that we are part of this world and we will remain in this world forever. So that's why you see many people in this world want to become happy in this present state of mind. Right now, if you ask people, well, why don't you leave this world and then go back home, back to God, and you will be happy? Then people say, who? I don't know whether I will be happy there or not, but I want to remain in this world. I want to become happy in the present life. People don't want to think that there is a life after death because they are so tightly engrossed in this bodily, in bodily consciousness. They do not think that beyond this body there is a consciousness which is a part of the spirit, and then we are the really the spiritual, we are the spirit soul, and as a spirit soul our duty is to serve Krishna. They don't understand this part. That's why when Arjuna in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita opposes different arguments that why he should not fight the war, he was giving very, 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 very intelligent arguments. Krishna said that, well, you know, you are talking like a pandita. Krishna said that you are talking like a pandita, but you are mourning for the things which you should not mourn. Means he was lamenting for the people who are going to die. He said that you are actually lamenting for the body. We are not the body, we are the spirit soul. We are not the body, but we are the spirit soul. And that Arjuna was missing that point. He was thinking that we are all bodies. So he was thinking like, when I'm going to kill Bhishma, Drona, Ashwathama, Karna, Kripacharya, Drona, Duryodhana, all these are my relatives, my friends, or whatever, my brothers, or whatever. When I'm going to kill, I'm going to killing all of them. But Krishna says, no, these are not people. These are just the bodies. These are just a dress. Vamsamsi jirnani yatha vyaya navani ghanani naro prani tatha shranani vyaya jirnani anyani samayati navani dehi. Krishna says this is like a dress. It's like as a person thrown up useless like the old dresses and give up the old garment and put the new garment. Similarly, soul, as a soul, you are the soul. You will give up this useless material body at the time of death, and you're going to take another body in a new species of life. This is what happened. Dehino asmini yatha dehe kaumaram yovadam jana tatha dehantar prapti dhiras tatana muyati. But Arjuna was still lamenting, oh, all these people will die. I'm going to incur sin. I'm going to suffer. All these kind of things are there. That's a indication that Arjuna at that time was going in a mode of ignorance, and that was conducted by Lord Shiva. You know. So the people who think that they are the body and who thinks work on the bodily platform and who think that like this body is I am, they are actually controlled by Lord Shiva. So that's why Prabhupada said the most persons are conducted by this false ego, which are controlled by Lord Shiva. And especially at the last, like summarized the last section is like the Mayavadi people, they think that, well, you will become the Lord. You will become the Lord when you going to come out from this illusion. They consider this world as an illusion. Uh, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. They are very very common point. But that is not true, because that this material world is asatya, or material world is illusion, because material world is temporary. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, dukhalyam ashashvatam. This material world is full of miseries and temporary. Because it is temporary, it has no permanent endurance. That's why it is illusion from that perspective. It's not that it's not don't even exist. Mayavadi says that this material world don't even exist. It's our mental concoction that we think that material world exists, and they think that once you come out of this construction, you become the Lord. You will never become a Lord. You can think many years, even thousands of years you can think, but you will not become Lord, because you are not Lord. You are the part and parcel of Krishna. We are servant of Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mamai Mamsho Jeev Loke Jeebhuta Sanatana. We are part and parcel of Krishna. We are not the Lord. We are servant of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that, Jeevere Sarupari Krishna Nityadas. That's why, as long as we will not give up this false ego that we are the master, or we are this body, we cannot deliver ourselves from this material world. So for that, we need to actually come in association of the devotees. When we come in association of devotee and we perform bhakti, then we basically overcome this consciousness, this false ego, that which basically controlled by Lord Rudra. Then we basically come out from them. Sometime, some living entity who perform like good activities, Lord Shiva actually release this living entity, and then this false ego cycle was break for that person. But most of the time, devotees actually, when they preach about Krishna consciousness, people can come out. Otherwise, most of the people will remain in this material world controlled by Lord Shiva. All right. I think the next verse is I already discussed that. So next verse is total material energy. Mahatattva will basically manifest, and then after that, this one is. So from there, like the verse number 28, 20, yeah, 20. This is verse number is 27. From there, these heavenly planets are manifested. As I mentioned in the beginning, there are 40 planetary system. We are in the middle planetary system. They are on the top, and then they are on the bottom. And within them, the demigod and other were also manifesting in terms of modes of material nature. So all the demigods will basically appear in different planets. All right, let me and then the other devotee will continue for tomorrow. So let me ask if there is anyone have any comment or question on today's discussion about what we discussed about the mode of material nature. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments?
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji.
I have one thing. You said Agni from mouth, and what is it, Varun?
Taste, water. The taste come from the water, which is controlled by Lord.
Okay, and then Ashwini Kumaras?
Nostrils, smell.
Smell, okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of Virat Rupa. That was really very nice description. So we always think, all these things, just because I'm human, I know I have all these. But these things are coming from Virat Rupa for us. It's a very good analogy. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Any other comments or question anyone have?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, as a Hindu, we are doing like Saraswati Puja and all of other pujas, and you said we also know that Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge. And then like other religion people, they are not, some even don't know who's Saraswati, but they are also getting good education. How is this, Prabhu? Can you explain a little bit?
No, they are not getting education, they are getting knowledge of the material world. When we are saying education means the knowledge about your this spiritual knowledge I'm talking about, and especially the knowledge of Vedas.
That's true.
The Vedic knowledge is the prime knowledge. The knowledge which is basically physics, chemistry, mathematics, science, these things, this is not a Vedic knowledge. This is going against like the Vedas. They are trying to deny God. So they are not like knowledge which is basically in line with the Vedic knowledge, So they are using in a wrong direction. So that knowledge is basically like a materialistic knowledge. And yes, some part of that is basically coming from Vedas. But here when we say Saraswati Devi is basically you are like what is right on the right side. See, a person can do say right words and a person say bad words, wrong words. So right words are represented by the Vak Devi, the Saraswati Devi gives you understanding so that you can actually go in the right direction. Hmm. Say like and these people who are having this knowledge of the materialistic science, because they again they are part and parcel of the Lord, they are living entities, they have something, but they are being given this knowledge to maintain themselves. They are not really, this knowledge is not for the elevation of the consciousness. So for the people who are following Vedic culture, they worship Goddess Saraswati not just to learn this physics, chemistry, mathematics. We are to learn Vedas, to learn Vedic knowledge. So that's the main difference.
But people in general, Prabhuji, like they are only worshipping for the material knowledge.
Yes, 19. That's why they are in mode of ignorance. That's what he said that they're mostly controlled by Lord Shiva.
Yeah. And I was the person who was like in my childhood, I used to do every year in our family.
Hmm.
We used to do Saraswati Puja, and all of our like people like in my village used to come to our house.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like a big festival every year.
Yes.
But now I just lose my mind. Like I don't even want to go and do all of this. I don't know why. Because we always heard like if you worship Krishna, then
Yes.
you don't need to do worship
Yes.
any other demigods. So that
Definitely.
was in my mind, and right
Yes, ma'am.
now, yeah, yesterday there was like so many festivals going on around, but I was not feel like going. I have a picture in my home,
Hmm.
Goddess Saraswati. I just give some flowers and pray
Hmm.
that I just, I just pray like um I just don't want to do anything except the bhajan kirtan of Krishna.
Yes.
Give me that blessing, ma. That's it.
Oh,
I
yeah, that's
just
good because the thing is that like the people who are like materialistic people who are basically in bodily consciousness, they see mother the goddess Saraswati in a wrong way. We are basically like before we basically recite Shrimad Bhagavatam, we offer prayer to Mother Saraswati. Naranam Namaskatya Naram Chaivanuttam Devim Saraswatim. So we are worshipping Lord, or we are offering our prayer to Mother Saraswati so that she can gives us the power to speak about Krishna, to glorify Krishna. So that's where we basically offer our obeisances, because she is the goddess who is giving the power to speak. But again, as you say that, yeah, main thing is that if you are worshipping Krishna, then everything will be okay, because Krishna controls everyone. You know, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. By worshipping Krishna, all the demigod automatically get satisfied. We don't need to do anything more over there. That's a good point. Thank you.
thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is there any other question or comments?
Isn't that Ashtami, Navami, Dasami, they do Navami, they do that Saraswati Puja?
Panchami Mataji.
Panchami?
Basant Panchami. This is
Basant.
Panchami, the fifth day of that.
No. Vijay Dasami. I'm talking about that time.
Vijay
Oh,
Dasami is for like Durga, Ma Durga.
that's a different one.
Yeah.
That's you are talking about like in the month of October, right, Mataji?
Hmm.
That's a different one. All right. Okay. Any other question, comment before we end?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Nice class.
Thank you very much.
Thank
All these from the 11th chapter text, these are all very nice, knowledgeable things in a way. A lot of things to know.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Vansha kalpatarubhascha kripa
Vasantubhyo cha patithana Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Anant Kodi Vaishnava.
Vaishnava.
you.
Thank you.